Faster Fluency Conversation Club podcast, Words of Wisdom. Welcome to the Faster Fluency Conversation Club podcast by Business English with Christina. The Faster Fluency Conversation Club takes place on Zoom and is a way for you to improve your fluency and confidence in English by talking about real-world topics. We meet for 1 hour every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we would love you to join us. If you want to practice your English, become more confident, and meet people just like you from all around the world, and have guidance from my expert teachers and me, just click the link in the show notes. Our podcast listeners receive a 50% discount on the first month of membership with the discount code FFCC50. Come and join us today. Hey everybody, Christina here with the Faster Fluency Conversation Club podcast. I hope that you're having a lovely month of March. And today I'm here with Matthew, who is now in Thailand, actually. First of all, how are things going in Thailand?
Amazing.
Okay.
It's really beautiful here. I used to live by the beach. I thought I lived close to the beach before. It was like a 10-minute walk. Now I count in steps. It's like 100.
Oh, right. Well, you're like, now I'm 10 steps from the beach. Right.
Yes.
My yard is made of sand. Oh,
yes.
Nice. Okay, great. Glad to hear it. Right. So today we're talking about words of wisdom. And maybe actually to start, we can maybe define this little expression because it is kind of an expression, a chunk that we'll hear. I guess for students, how would you define words of wisdom? What does that mean?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. It's actually a question I get asked from students a lot. Like, what's the difference between like wisdom and like intelligence or things like this? And to me, wisdom is kind of gained through experience versus like maybe your innate level of understanding something or problem solving. Or whatever that is. And so words of wisdom are maybe some expressions or things that people have said to us that have kind of stuck. You know how like our memories are very strange, but there's some things that we just remember so clearly. Even if somebody said it like 10 years ago, it's still like, it seems like they just said it yesterday. It's still fresh.
Exactly.
I would say, that's how I would
define words of wisdom. Yeah. I think it's just things that you hear or you read. It could be reading, but like pieces of advice where you're like, wow, that's really like smart in the sense of like kind of a deeper sense of smart, not just intelligent, like you said, but kind of more profound. And you're like, wow, yeah, that's right.
Right. Like I think a lot of like proverbs are words of wisdom, right? These are things that people have been saying for centuries.
Exactly.
Or thousands of years.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's it. Okay. I was thinking that we could talk about maybe words of wisdom that we've actually learned from working with our students, because I think, a lot of times people think like the teacher teaches the student and the student is just there to learn. But I feel like when we're working with students, we are teaching them things, but we're also learning a lot of things from them as well. And I don't know what's something that you've learned from students over the years.
So much,
so many things.
Like you said, like one of the things I really enjoy about teaching is the learning aspect of it. I learn every day from people. I think one thing that really stuck out to me once was I found a way to learn a language that worked for me. And I thought, this is great. Everybody can apply.
I've found the secret to learning languages.
And I'll never forget, but the student, she's like, that's great. And I think that is a good way to learn a language. She's like, but my brain doesn't really work like that. And she's like, I like to learn this way. This is what helps me to learn. And so we do an expression, right? There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
And so throughout my career, just working with people from different backgrounds and everybody's mind works differently, is now I've just come up with different options to present to people. Like, here's one way, here's another way, here's another way. And maybe there's a totally different way that I haven't thought of yet. Yeah. But it's just keeping that in mind. And also, as a learner, I think sometimes people they think of like maybe when they learned when they were in school and like, oh, this is the way to learn.
Right.
But maybe you had trouble in school, and it's because of that learning style that was kind of like pushed down your throat. And so as a learner, I think it's good to try and experiment different ways to see what works best for you.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And and it's like you said, it's something that as a teacher, you learn that. You learn it as you go, because I think when we do like teacher training, like they teach us different methods to do. But then like you said, sometimes you show this particular method or approach to a student and they're like, yeah, I'm sure that's great, but it doesn't work for me. And so you realize that, not everybody's the same. And instead of telling them what to do, it's more like guiding them along the path of finding what works for them. And maybe it's something that we as teachers, we can present them like with 5 options, but maybe what's going to work for them is this 6th option that we didn't think of and that you kind of discover together. And then you can add that to your toolbox. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's through that, communication effort to find what works best for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you? Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, actually, there's like you said, words of wisdom, this sort of like thing that sticks in your mind for a long time. And it was actually something that came out of an interview that I was doing with Sophie, one of the students that we're working with. And I was asking her just like how her program went and getting feedback and all of that. And I think I asked her, is there anything else that you would like to share with me about your experience? And she said, yeah, it's like I learned from the program. Whenever I'm confronted with an opportunity and I'm a little hesitant and asking myself, like, can I do this? She's like, I learned to say, hey, try it out, because what do you have to lose? It's like, if you don't try, you're going to lose anyway. But if you do try, you have a chance of winning. And if you don't win, well, you learned something. And I was like, that is such I noted this and I was like, that is so such good life advice. Like for English, if you're looking for you want to get a professional opportunity that requires a good level of English, but I mean, it could be anything. It's like, go ahead, try it. Worst comes to worst, maybe your ego is a little suffers a bit from that because you didn't get the thing you wanted. But if you can put that aside, you can learn from that experience and then you can do better next time.
Absolutely. That reminds me of the New York State lottery slogan, which is, you got to be in it to win it.
Yeah. So that's exactly it.
If you're not in the game, there's no chance you're going to win.
Exactly. That's it.
If you participate, you got a chance. And I think that's one of the great things about FFCC and in the club is people really, even if you're not like that at first, after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you feel very comfortable and everybody is, willing to speak and make their mistakes and there's no pressure. People don't judge you.
Yeah.
And it's really a comfortable place for people to come and try. And hey, maybe you win it this week and maybe the next week you're like, oh man, what was I doing?
Yeah. And that happens. And I think maybe that's something also from students. It's like a lot of students, they'll be like, oh, I felt really good in English last week and this week, I don't know, it's really difficult. That's normal.
Right. We all have our good days and bad days, and speaking in a foreign language is
included in that. Yeah, that's it. Right. Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Matthew. And just maybe one thing before we wrap up this episode, we wanted to give for the members of the FFCC something to talk about in the sessions this week. And it's, if you have some words of wisdom that you've gained from your life experience, definitely share those with other people. And even if it's something that you feel like is stupid simple for somebody, it can be like, wow. So if you got something, definitely share it with us. Share it with your teachers as well, because we like learning from you guys also. And if you just don't feel like you have anything, maybe you can think of something that you've learned about learning English, something that you've learned from a teacher in the past, and you want to share it with the other members. What do you think about that, Matthew?
Yeah, totally. I think, any kind of words of wisdom, and oftentimes the simpler, the better, because those are the ones that are most likely to stick with you. But it could be anything with regards to, learning English, maybe from an English teacher or in your professional life, a colleague or boss or somebody, or in your personal life, your family or friends, people have shared with you that have stuck over the years.
All right. Sounds good. All right, Matthew. Well, thanks a lot. And we'll see you soon.
We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening again this week. As a bonus for our listeners, we now offer the transcript of this episode for free so you can read after listening. Our goal is to help you improve all aspects of your English. And when you become a member of the Faster Fluency Conversation Club, each week you also get exercises on grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, and more directly connected to the topic of the conversation each week. In addition to the daily speaking practice in the club, you'll also make friends around the world with professionals just like you, so you have fun learning and remember what you learned better. And because you listen to this podcast, you get a 50% discount on your first month of membership. Just use the code FFCC50. And if you'd like to join the club, the link for more details is in the show notes for this podcast. We hope to see you in the club.